Before you guys start, just want to clear up a couple of things. So there wasn't a board meeting yesterday, so I don't know who reported that. It might have been Glenn Quartermain, but there was a function on which I spoke at with CEOs, was it sponsors and CEOs? So just to clear that up, there's nothing before it, there was nothing after it, so maybe just might have got that one wrong. In regards to your question, so the respect piece is just something I'm looking for with how we're going about this. So go for your life. I'm trying to be as engaging as I can, but sometimes it's a bit of a challenge when it's critiqued in a different way, and the way it the caricatures you get put in the paper and that sort of stuff. So it's sometimes a challenge to give you everything when you get treated like that. So just in the back of your mind, just have that with your questions. But I'll try and give everything I can, because it's a challenging time for the club at the moment. So I get it, and I get the criticism. So I'm up for the conversation, but just in the back of your mind, just have that. It is hard to be engaging when you get treated like that sometimes. So not to say that I'm feeling the pinch with it all. It's just, deal with you guys a lot, and I try and give everything I can. So let's go.
Disappointing with Tom Barrass potentially ruled out for the rest of the season?
Yeah, it was. We had him over in Melbourne thinking he was half a chance, and then he recovered pretty well with the shoulder, and then just didn't recover this week. So we followed up with some more scans, and there's is it a compressed fracture? Is that what it's called? In his back. So I don't think it's as bad as it sounds, but it's ruled him out for the year.
So he is out for the year, because so the club said he was likely out for the year, but he's done.
Yeah, well, I'd say the year, but we're still holding out a little bit of hope. But I would have thought it's the season. I mean, there 4 games left after this one, so yeah, I don't think it's a long-term injury, but probably long enough to keep him out.
How do you handle Nick Larkey then on Sunday?
I'm not sure, so we'll keep working through that. We'll keep pushing some of our younger players through. We had Oscar Allen last week, and we've got Shannon Hearn there as well, so we'll see how we go.
How is Tom? He's obviously had a pretty good year, and now this?
Tom Barrass, disappointed. With what we're going through at the moment, we're keen to have our best players available. So, him and McGovern are pretty flat, but that's just the way it is.
Are you worried that he may have played his last game for the club?
Tom? No, I hope not. That's going to come. That's speculation. This won't be the first player you'll talk about, I would have thought, and it'll start now at every club. So Tom seems to be the one that's in discussions at the moment with the public, and I can't control that.
How important is he to the rebuild of this club?
Well, he's our vice captain. He's in that age bracket that we're probably a bit light on. With we've got a lot of kids coming through and a lot of veterans, so we'll get young pretty quick. And then the second tier age group, that 25 to 30 type players, they're really important for us.
Elliot Yeo back in the squad this weekend. Have you got a plan in place, like midfield, down back, on where you're going to play him? Yeah,
we'll work through that. He'll be managed to a certain degree. We've done it a few times now with Cole, McGovern. These guys have had significant time off, so he hasn't had lots of time off, but enough to suggest he's going to have to manage his minutes a little bit.
And just in terms of North, have you seen any changes from them under Brett Radden these last few weeks in comparison to earlier in the season?
I think we've all changed a little bit, so personnel in particular, but no, they haven't been too far off, North. Yeah, so I mean, they could have won that game on the weekend, and they've probably had, I reckon, 4 of the last 5 games have been well and truly in the game late in the day. So yeah, they're chasing probably the same things we are, really, with how the game's played.
You touched on Oscar Allen earlier. What's it like having such a proven goal kicker and then from time to time having to bring him back? What do you weigh up?
Well, we don't want to do that, do we? And considering Jack Darling down back at stages as well, it's just not ideal. But at the moment, with the lack of tools we've got, and then the young tools we've got coming through are really young, so that's a challenge. But it's not ideal. But Oscar's willing to do anything for the team, so if we have to do it, we have to do it.
And the half obviously started on Kerno last week. Confidence-wise, how was he after that?
Well, it wasn't his fault, really. I mean, you can't point the finger at Oscar or Hoff, who had the roles on him at various stages. I think in the first quarter, Curnow grabbed one out of the ruck, which, and a couple of really good pieces of delivery that come from the midfield. So, yeah, I don't think he's too far off being ready for those types of jobs, Hoff, but what is he, 19, 20? He's had a really good year for us. But, yeah, he's still pretty young.
With Elliott, was there any consideration to wrap him up for the rest of the year and look at next year, considering his sort of struggles with injury in the last few years?
Not really. No, he's had little niggles, but not to the point where we need to shut him down. So, and he's a competitor and he wants to help. So, yeah, not keen to shut anyone down just yet. With our availability, it's got a little bit better, but it's not. There's still probably 14, 15 players unavailable, and if they're right to go, we'll play them.
So will he start, or will he start as a sub?
We're working through that. Yeah, we'll discuss that this afternoon, whether we sub him or we sub him out. So we'll work through that.
You talked about the home form versus away form at length. Now the young players are better at home and obviously fairly poor on the road. Does this game provide an opportunity against another team that's not going so well to win a game, I guess, for want of a better expression?
Well, we're trying to win every game, and I've said this before, I feel like going into every game we're a chance, and then, when we travel, it's gone pretty early, that opportunity. And even at home, we've been jumped a few times as well, so it's, it's having that belief and confidence that you can win. That's really hard to teach when you haven't got evidence. So, drawing on our leaders and how we can play, and then our fans and our members, and playing in front of a home crowd. There's obvious advantage playing at home, and that's in any sport. So, hopefully we can utilise that this week.
Is there any pressure on yourself or the team and the club to win this game, considering from the outside perspective it's 18th versus 17th and it is a home game for you guys?
Yeah, I can understand that question. I'm not coaching for my job this week. So, I'm coaching for the future. So I'm coaching to win, but if I was to pull out all stops and play every player that's ready and start players in different positions just to try and get a win to save my job, I'm not doing that. So whatever we're doing now is for the future, and it's the same as last week, last month, next week, next month. It won't change. It's a long road we're on, and I know there's some attention at the moment, and I get that. That's all part of the job, but it doesn't affect the way I go about it.
What's it like for you then? I guess you're taking all of the hits for the greater good. What's it like being in your position?
Well, that's what you sign up for, and that's what I mentioned earlier about trying to get the balance right with you guys as well, because it's a challenge, but we knew this was coming, and maybe not to this level. And I think the availability piece has hurt us as much as the rebuild. So it is what it is. Yeah, I'm pretty resilient in that space, and I've got a lot of support as well.
You spoke a few times about the gaps in your list. A lot of youngsters, a lot of older guys, and a little bit of lacking in the middle. Can you point a finger as to what's caused that over the few years?
Oh, yeah, there's a few things without going into too much detail. With some players haven't worked out, some players have had career-ending injuries, some players have been moved on. So there's that combination, and we just haven't had our best players available. So that's probably combined. It can be rectified pretty quickly. So it's just not tomorrow.
How is it rectified quickly?
Well, the draft and the trade. There's often 7 to 10 changes in the list every year. So you give us 2 years and half your list's almost changed. So it does happen pretty quick.
Jack Zabel announced his retirement today. Does that bring a bit of extra emotion to Sunday?
I remember giving my jumper number to Zabel back in the day. So that's how old he is, or young I am. So I can't know the difference. It was 2009, so I think I can't remember his other number, but I saw something in him the first day he got to the club, and I was really hoping he could take over the number, which I don't know if he wanted to or not, but he did. So he's had a fantastic career, and really proud of what he's done.
Are you proud of what he's done in your number?
Not my number, but it was just I remember taking that number off Danny Ladley. Sometimes they mean nothing, sometimes it means a lot. So, nothing to do with me. But his career's been, exceptional.
What did you see in him when you...
It's tough. Yeah, he's, when you're 17, 18, and he was playing like a man. So you could sort of tell. I think he broke his leg early in his career. Might have held him back for a year or so, but he was yeah, it was just tough. Still is.
When you look at someone like Oscar last week, you played him down back. Are you planning on hopefully starting him forward? Is that the plan straight away, or will you look at maybe moving him to Larky?
I don't want to give you the plans straight away. No, give me something to go with. But you know, most of the side, there's not a lot of changes from last week, and we're a bit light on for tools. So how we do that, we'll work through.
How have you looked into starting quicker? Obviously at the weekend, 9 goals to zip in that first term. Hurt is obviously putting on the back foot. How do you ensure that doesn't happen, or try to ensure it doesn't happen?
Yeah, it's difficult to answer that question when I've said it for probably 5 weeks. So I think it's in our actions, in our intent. So strategically, you can't do too much, but understanding how quick the game is early is something that we're trying to educate our players on, and hopefully they're starting the right way this week.
Has there been any challenge in keeping morale up, especially amongst some of the younger players who, probably didn't expect this level of difficulty in their AFL career? So
I'd say that's an interesting question. Culturally, I think we're in a pretty good space. Obviously none of us are happy, but the environment, the learning environment's really important, and development's really important right now. Obviously winning is as well. But yeah, the standards that we set around the club, I think we've improved on the standards. I think the young guys are really bought into the fact they're part of our future and they feel like they belong. And the environment's pretty good from 9 to 5. It's just game day, getting that win and walking off the track with a win in your back pocket. We haven't had that experience for a long time. Neither's North. So it'll come at some stage. Hopefully it's this week.
I know you said last night on radio that it doesn't change the course, the result of this game doesn't change the course, but what actually would it mean for you Hewitts and those young guys to sing that song again or for the first time?
I don't think it matters who it is. Yeah, so we're all keen to have a win if we can, but it's it's all about winning obviously, but the bigger picture piece was what I was asked about last night, and I think that's what you're asking about now as well. So I've got an eye on that. I'm trying to work towards that, but at the same time we'd like to have some wins along the way.
You said the bigger picture piece. Is it hard being at a big club like West Coast, and where you've had a lot of success as a club, and having to sell that bigger picture piece to the fans who are used to that success?
I think most of the fans understand the journey we're on. From my experience, they really like to see the young guys play, and obviously they like winning and expect winning, but they also understand where we're at, and it's not ideal, but it's where we're at. So, and we'll keep working towards getting better. But there's no secrets with it. It's just going to take a lot of work.